You guys, welcome to Sick of Pricks, a type 2 diabetes podcast. I'm Mary, your diabetes bestie. And today we're talking about something that almost everyone with a chronic condition has experienced at least once in their life, when the doctor doesn't listen. If that title already strikes a nerve, I get it because I've been there. Maybe you left an appointment feeling brushed off or belittled. Maybe you spent weeks tracking your blood sugars, your symptoms, your patterns, and when you finally got to share them, your doctor barely looked up from their computer. Or maybe you mentioned that you're feeling off, and they told you you're fine. And you sat there thinking, but am I really? Or are you just not hearing me? Let's start the moment you realize you weren't heard. It's this sinking feeling, the one that you realize that the person that you are trusting with your care just is not taking you seriously. It's anger, disappointment, and a little bit of sadness all rolled into one. Because when you're living with something like type 2 diabetes, these appointments are everything. We build ourselves up. You prepare, you write down your questions, you get a little nervous or anxious, and you hope that this will finally be the time that something changes. And then you walk out feeling small, unheard, or maybe even a little crazy. But you, my friend, you are not crazy. You are not dramatic. You are a person who knows your own body. But maybe you need some validation from your trusted care team, or maybe you're still in the getting to know yourself stage and you're looking for direction and you're just not getting it. Your frustration is valid. I recently shared in a previous episode that I left my endocrinologist's office because of this kind of exact reason. I felt like I was constantly being rushed through appointments and not really heard or listened to. I feel like they really had no idea who I was as a person. And I totally get that your doctor is not supposed to be your bestie. Fine. I'm not looking for a bestie doctor. I want someone who knows me, though, as a whole person and not a chart number. And I don't feel like that's too much to ask for. So here's why it happens. Here is the truth. And I wish more people were willing to say it out loud. Sometimes doctors don't listen. And there are many reasons for that. But I'll tell you what the reasons are not. It's not because you didn't say it right. It's not because you weren't polite enough, calm enough, or expert enough. Sometimes it's bias, sometimes it's burnout, and sometimes it's the broken system we're stuck with. It's the healthcare system doing what the healthcare system does, which is rushing, interrupting, and dismissing. For many of us, especially women, people living with diabetes, people in bigger bodies, the dismissal feels personal. We have been told for years and years and years that everything comes down to weight. I swear to you, if you're a bigger person and you go to the ER with a broken bone or you go to your doctor with a sprained ankle, they're like, but did you try losing weight first? We've been told that everything comes down to weight or stress or just exercise more, or maybe it's all in your head. And then you start second guessing yourself and you're wondering, can I trust my own body's responses and the feedback that I'm getting? But really, that's the thing that we should be trusting the most. So what do you do after that? What do you do after the appointment that left you shaking your head in the parking lot? The answer is not to shrink. It's not to get quieter. It's to speak up louder, smarter, and more strategically. So let's walk through this together. I know for me, when I have an appointment that makes me feel less than or dismissed or like I didn't get what I truly needed from that appointment, my first response is to go to the Starbucks drive-thru for a pick-me-up and to call my best friend and bitch and moan about it, right? That makes me feel better. But here's what I want you to do instead. First, you can still do that, but do this first. Before you do anything, I want you to take 5 minutes to write down exactly what happened. You're going to write down what you went in for, what you asked, how they responded, and what words or tones made you feel dismissed. It's not about blame. It's about having clarity about the situation. When your emotions are high, the details get blurry. And writing helps you stay grounded. It gives you more evidence if you ever need it. If you're still in the room and things start feeling off, here are a few calm but powerful questions you can still ask. Can you help me understand why this doesn't seem concerning? I hear a lot of ladies in Sugar Mama Strong say, my A1C was 6.9. My doctor doesn't seem concerned, but I wish my A1C was lower, or I want my A1C lower, or I feel better when my A1C is lower, and the doctor dismisses their concerns. Okay, so that question, can you help me understand why this doesn't seem concerning, puts the ball in their court for them to explain their thinking. What would need to change for this to be taken seriously? And can you walk me through your reasoning on that? These phrases do two things. They recenter the conversation on logic, not emotion, and they make it harder for someone to brush you off without explaining themselves. You're not challenging their authority. You want them to share their reasoning so that you have clarity on the situation that involves your health. Okay? Then, after your appointment, when you get home, especially if something is still not sitting right, use your patient portal to document your concern. Something like, at my last visit, I mentioned ongoing fatigue and swelling. I'd like to revisit this and discuss possible next steps. Short and to the point, it's professional, it's clear. This not only creates a record, it forces a response from your care team. If they don't reply or still dismiss it, that tells you exactly what you need to know, and that is that it's time to move on. Now, let's talk about second opinions, because sometimes we feel guilty like we're cheating on our doctor. And so a lot of us get stuck here. We worry that we're going to seem difficult for switching doctors or requesting another set of eyes. But listen, you guys, this is your body. You're not getting like frequent flyer miles by visiting your doctor a certain number of times. You're not getting, Starbucks rewards. It's not a loyalty program. You deserve someone who sees you as a partner and not just a project that needs fixing. You deserve a care team that values your lived experience. I've changed doctors before, I just mentioned this, and it's uncomfortable at first, but every time I've done it, I've been reminded that advocating for myself is part of my health plan, not an exception to it. Let's talk about prevention, because the goal isn't to just fix the problem, it's to create a system that makes being heard more likely next time. So try this before your next appointment. Make a focused list. Write down the top 3 things you want to address. 3 things max. If you have 10 concerns, they're going to get lost. But 3 is manageable and clear. Next, you're going to want to bring your data, your glucose logs, any symptoms that you've written down, notes about patterns and behaviors and how certain foods or routines impact you. All of that is valuable. Doctors respect numbers, but they also respond to being organized and proactive. And having this kind of data with you shows that you are an active part of your own care, not just a bystander following someone else's directions on how to live your life. Okay? The next one is to lead with your why. Say something like, I'm tracking this because I want to prevent burnout and keep my numbers stable long term. That shows commitment and that you are a proactive patient, not a complainer. Bring a witness if needed. A friend, a spouse, or even your phone's voice memo. You should check your state laws for that, making sure that you can record in the exam room. But sometimes just having another person present changes how seriously you're taken. Finally, you're going to want to end your appointment with clarity. Before you leave, say something like, just so I'm clear, what's our plan moving forward? That way you walk out with something tangible, not confusion and frustration. Let's talk about the definition of good patient. Okay, we've been told our whole lives to be a good patient, but I want to redefine what that actually means. A good patient is not someone who's quiet, compliant, and easy to manage. Okay? A good patient is informed, engaged, and willing to collaborate. You're not there to make your provider comfortable. You're there to take care of your health. So speak up, ask questions, and request alternatives if you need them. And if anyone calls that non-compliance, you can smile and say, no, actually, it's called self-advocacy. Now, here's the emotional part that no one talks about. Sometimes it's not just about medical advice. It's about how it feels to be dismissed. You start to doubt your intuition and you start avoiding appointments altogether because it's easier not to fight. It's that moment when you say it's fine when it's not fine. But that's how health problems get missed, how burnout builds, and how people lose trust in a system that's supposed to protect them and keep them well. You deserve better. We all deserve better. And the first step to better is refusing to settle for less. So let's practice advocacy together. I want to walk you through a quick mindset shift that you can use before your next appointment. Close your eyes for a second, not if you're driving, thank you very much. Take a deep breath. Picture yourself sitting in that doctor's office. You're calm, you're centered, and confident. And repeat this to yourself. I am the expert on my body. My voice belongs in this conversation. I deserve care that listens, respects, and supports me. Let that sink in. That's the energy I want you to bring into every exam room from now on. Now, if you're still healing from a bad experience, you guys, my first bad experience with a doctor was like 24 years ago. I was newly diagnosed. I think I was 21 years old. I don't even know. I was in my early 20s. And I still get angry when I think about this moment, still after all of these years. I know some of you are sitting there listening and thinking, that sounds really nice, but I'm still hurt. My feelings are still hurt. It could be years ago, decades ago, maybe it was last week. Maybe it was a diagnosis that got missed, or a complication that was ignored or brushed off, or a tone that made you feel less than. Take a second to honor that. You didn't imagine it, but it doesn't define you. It did shape you, though, so you have to acknowledge it and sit with it and get okay with it. The good news is you're here right now. You're learning, growing, and showing up differently. And that's power. It's growth, and it's what advocacy looks like in real time. So the next time a doctor doesn't listen, I want you to remember you have options. You have a voice, and you are the CEO of your own health. No one gets to silence that. All right, guys, that's it for today's episode of Sick of Pricks. If this one hit home, share it with a friend who's ever felt dismissed or unseen in a doctor's office, because these conversations matter. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps more than you know. And hey, if you're ready to connect with people who actually get it, come join my Facebook community, Sugar Mama Strong. It's a safe space for support, accountability, and real conversations about health, goals, and life. You can follow along on Facebook and Instagram for more daily motivation and updates. Everything's linked in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.